Hello, it's Davey and James, and we've got centre stage. We have a Vox AC15, and what we have done is we have taken the extension or external. What was specifically? What was it again? What was it called?
It's just the extension.
Just the extension. So yeah. So basically, what that will do is it will completely bypass the speaker in there, and we have it going into one of our Reformer 112s fitted with an Alnico blue, which is what used to go into the old Vox AC30s. Now this one has a green backing. I think that's standard for a lot of the Vox combo series. And then I have some amp modelers. I have the DS7 Humboldt Simplified DLX. I've got the IR2 from Boss, the amp and cabinet pedal. And I've got the HX Stomp, all loaded with very similar sounds. They're all effectively Vox AC30, AC15 with blue. And I'm going into an Activair Reality. So this is showcase and compare what, a proper amp with a really lovely speaker going into one of our lovely cabs versus an active cab and an amp that will live on your pedal board. So yeah, naturally, we're going to focus on the Beatles as they are the most famous users of the Vox and the Alnico Blue. Yeah, we're just going to play a couple of tracks. We're going to start with the Vox and then we're going to move on to a different amp and a different speaker and a different song. But yeah, nice. James is going to take it away with a little riff. One you might know. What we have is we have the JM47 room mic that we usually use. We also have the SE4400As. We've got one on each of the cabs. James is going to play the riff. You might know it, and then I'm going to play the riff. We're going to do a little bit of a comparison between the two, and then we're going to try and play together, and then you're going to kind of hear them mashed together, because there's people that are really interested in the amp modelling world and how far it's come and how progressive it's been in the last, even like decade. And then there are purists, but people can coexist. These players and these mindsets can definitely coexist, so it'd be nice to hear them blended together and see what happens. So yeah, you'll hear them panned probably left and right when we played together, but for now we'll have a bit of room mic and a bit of James going through the Alnico Blue and the Reformer 112. So yeah,
all right,
go for it, mate. I feel like that's captured the tone of that specific era, that style, very, very well.
I think so. I think it's just like you're so used to hearing it with like the kind of saturation that the Vox just has.
Yeah.
The blue just makes sense.
Yeah. Of course, Harrison did play a telly for big chunks of his career, but between him and Lennon, they mostly played Rickenbackers in this.
At this time, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have.
We don't have a Rickenbacker, sadly. But we do have these cool Reverend guitars. So we've got the Reverend East Sider, Pete Anderson signature, really beautiful telly. Chambered body.
Yeah, it's really, really light.
Really lovely. And then I've got the Greg Koch Gristle ST. Their Strat, and it's fantastic. It's got loads going on, but I'm just going to do the same as the telly. I'm going to be on the neck pickup, not the neck pickup, I'm going to be on the bridge pickup. Not going to really play around with much, I'm going to have everything full. And I'm going to start with the Simplifier. The Simplifier sounds possibly the best. It is an analog circuit, all analog pedal. It doesn't have as many options, nowhere near as many options as something like the HX Stomp. Not as many options as even something like the IR2, but it definitely has more of a warmth, and you'll hear that. So I'll switch between them. I'll try and do some very covert switching, so maybe you won't be able to notice, but I'm going to start on the Simplifier DLX, then onto the IR2, then onto the HX Stomp, and I hope they're kind of similar, but you will obviously hear differences regardless. Cool. Cool. Annoyingly, even though I prefer the sound of the simplifier, I actually think that the Stomp and the IR2 are probably closer to the sound.
Yeah, I think it is actually. It's quite abrasive in isolation, isn't it?
And so this is actually what the Activier Reality sounds like, completely bypassed. The tweeter's also all the way up on this because we wanted to get full jangles. So yeah, just thought I'd use that as a showcase what it sounds like isolated. So I'm going to stick mostly on the HX Stomp for this one. 1, 2, 3, go! Yeah, that's just what Lennon would have done, wouldn't it? Nice, okay, that's great. I think the similarities between the two sounds, it's hard. I feel like even the response that you get from a proper tube amp, you're never going to really be able to replicate that. I feel like actually the simplifier still gets closest to it. Let me dial in a little bit more treble and a little bit less bass.
Yeah, now that we're playing together, it feels like it's missing a bit of body, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to just do a little bit more of it and then I'm going to do it with the simplifier?
Yeah, try with the simplifier. Yeah, okay.
Great, okay. We're going to swap out some cabs and an amp and we're going to do a different song with some different settings. We're going to go for a Fender sound. Cool. Spoilers! We're back and we have swapped out the Vox amp for the trusty tweaker. We are going into the American setting, the Fender setting. And in this reformer we have a Celestion Cream, the Alnico Cream. So I want to compare those two. I have switched everything into a Fender setting, the simplifier, the IR2 and the HX Stomp. The IR2, I am not sure if I turned cab sim on.
What's the matter with you, Philip?
That might be why it sounds so different to the other two. So I feel like for like it should be all the same. I always switch between it, but I don't think it sounds that good. I also have a feeling I might have had it on the Fender setting for that last bit as well, because they're right next to each other and they're very, very awkward.
But you didn't use it anyway, did you use the HX?
I did use most. I did switch between it, but we'll see. But you know, let's just get you isolated. Sweet. So that's the Cream with the tweaker. That is that's the HX Stomp. Then we have the IR2. The simplifier. James is going to switch to the neck pickup. This is Magic Guitar in that it has pull pot, so these can become humbuckers. So I am going to do that, but still stay on the neck pickup. For the rooftop session that we're using as a reference for, George was using a Telly for that, going into a Fender Deluxe, I believe, and Lennon was using his Casino.
P90s.
No, P90s, yeah. So this would be the closest thing, I think, to it. Humbucker, pull pot on this, bridge position, so it's still got a bit of body and depth, but it's not too like...
Yeah.
you know, technical term. So James is going to go through the riff for a song you might know, and then I'll do the same, and then we'll play together like we did before. So. Beautiful. And then this is the HX Stomp. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I think for the riff, it does sound objectively better with like the valve going into
I
the
agree.
Alnico, yeah.
It's just I'm not sure if it's the speaker, or if it's the possibly it's like the speaker versus the cab sim, or if it's the valve versus the modeler. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I feel like it worked really nicely with the Vox, but with the Fender it's a little bit lacking.
But I guess the Vox is a more abrasive sound anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So you probably have more room
for sure. Okay, should we try and play together?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the rhythm, and James is going to play the part that we were just playing. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to start on the HX. Let's see how we go. Right.
Ready?
Yep. Beautiful.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. So, yeah, I guess we're going to hear it, but only in post, what it sounds like with that separation. But let us know in the comments what you think. Obviously, it's going to be so hard to beat valves going into a cab with an Alnico driver. But I feel like with the right tweaking, it's very possible to get like as close to that sound as you can possibly get without the feel. Like, it's hard. Do you want to also just want to have a quick go?
Yeah, when we give.
Do you want to do a little swapsy?
Yeah. I weirdly actually prefer the response of this.
Really?
Yeah.
You switch, so what were you on? I think you were on the simplifier.
Yeah.
Switch the far left one, and that'll be the HX stomp, and then make sure you turn off the third one so we don't have both.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that as much.
No, it sounds digital.
It does.
It does sound more
something
digital.
about like, I don't know if it's something that the analog circuitry does to like the compression of like the high end, but I feel like this doesn't have that. I feel like this, every time you hit that high frequency, it's like...
Most definitely, yeah. I think with the HX there is definitely a way to dial it in so it almost rivals an analog circuit, but there's so many intricate bits. There's so many different hidden bits in the menu, and the fact that you can control like the hum and the sag of like the amp, and if you don't really know how to tune that in, because you, for the most part, like with this, it's a few different switches, but it is really just treble, mid, bass, and you can kind of level everything else and just kind of keep everything. Like, what do you have on here? You have vintage. Obviously the amp settings, you've got vintage, modern, bright or normal, deep or tight. So you've got this on deep, bright, USA and vintage. I know what you mean. I mean, I still love this, but the simplifier.
Yeah, my favourite in terms of response and feel is the simplifier for sure.
Yeah, it's such a great pedal, and I think that paired with the Reality, I love it. Generally how I use it with the barefaced gear is I have the cab sim off and I go into a cab with a very dedicated speaker, so I like quite a high wattage one for using loops, so they don't really lose much of their clarity and
fidelity.
But yeah, this active reality is fantastic if you want to go full IR cab sim, amp sim. Yeah, great. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. Nice. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think, and let us know other speakers that you want, whether it's for a specific artist, specific genre, style. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, thank you so much. All the best.
it.